Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Love Island Cast Australia. I am Chris Phelps and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
G'day, Chris. We're a little bit later today, but plenty of drama to get our teeth into.
I never know what to say when you do that, Dave. I've given up even attempting my Australian accent. But yes, there's plenty to get into, my friend. I mean, where do you want to start first?
I mean, let's start with Todd, because there's quite a lot going on around him. So we could see from that first date that, Jessie, had the gooey eyes for him. So we felt, right, that's it. Gerard's kind of had his little moment in the sun, but he's going to be kicked off fairly quickly. But I think, you know what? This happens in all the series, doesn't it, Chris? Where in the first few weeks, everyone's kind of on the same page with who they like, who they don't like. And then when it gets to this point and, you get all this drama between different couples, you have lots of people shouting on social media for almost every individual person. Like, everyone's got a completely different polarized view on how they see things. And I saw Jessie's getting a bit of stick that, the way she's sort of treating Gerard. But so I think I'll get your opinion first. I mean, what do you think of that whole thing? And especially when her and Isabel walked in, and Isabel's come in for a bit of stick as well, I saw. They both walked in, and then they just ignored everyone else and just took themselves off. What did you make to that whole piece?
Well, I think something you said in yesterday's episode really stuck with me was she's only 19. Now, I'd not give her that bit of slack, to be honest. I'd gone all in on her and basically slated and threw under the bus. I mean, I know Owen, as we know, was a bell end and he deserved what he got and got kicked off, and he was bad to her. But she did instigate the Owen thing as well, to be fair. She's very strong-minded and, she's very determined in what she wants. But it just reeked of bullshit yesterday. The way she just completely spun it on its head, a 180 turn from Gerard, as I said. Tonight, I did have that bit of sympathy because of what you said. I'd actually fought for a change, Dave. The bull in the china shop wasn't there. I'd actually sat there and thought, you know what, I think Dave's right. And then as soon as she sat there, I think what's happening is, when we watched the US one, we had that girl who did that ridiculous squeaky voice.
What was her name?
Caro.
Cairo, isn't it?
Cairo or Caro.
Caro.
Yeah, and oh my God. It was so annoying. And I think that's what was pissing me off. And that Isabel as well. And I know I give Matt a bit of stick. And it's amazing how by episode you can flip-flop, a proper opinion changed. But I think in some respects, as much as Matt's a wet lettuce and everything, and he was going in on it, he was wrong to say to her that he was like commenting about the relationship. Like, it's not in a fucking relationship. It was a coupling of convenience. But I don't think she's done herself any favours tonight. Her and Jessie, and when the lads were taking the piss, and then was it Luke had said, he just went, yeah, he didn't even look at my tits once, and I was pissing myself because everyone was laughing. I think they can all see it as well, to be fair, because Cassie was there and that, and even they were laughing because I thought, oh, the lads are taking the piss. There's going to be an argument and they're going to go back and tell the girls, but they didn't. I think maybe they're all seeing through the facade because Jessie, I don't know what. I just think whoever comes in, her head's going to be turned, Dave. It's just like the new pair of shoes or something. When something different comes in, she's like, oh, I'll have a bit of that. And that's all I'm seeing at the moment from her, sadly.
Yeah. I mean, like we say, she's young. She's not really ready to settle down with one person straight away. And her and Gerard hadn't been together for that long. Now, I kind of think, it's just unfortunate. It's all a little bit sad, I think, but I don't think that she deserves to be vilified the way that she has been. I think she's just, she's seen something, the new shiny, someone who she likes a bit better. I still don't think, I don't personally think Todd is that dashing, but I've seen plenty of comments online to say otherwise. 6'5", his body is fantastic, obviously, and she's drawn to him. So I think Gerard in his head is just a bit further on in the relationship. He seems a bit older. He seems a bit more mature. So I think he was thinking, right, this is it. Let's see where this goes, at least for a few weeks. And then he sort of had the rug pulled from under him. So I don't think, when I say she hasn't done anything wrong, I don't think they should have gone in, her and Isabel, and just taken themselves off straight away. I thought it was disrespectful, and even if they'd have come over to, the people who they're coupled up with and just said, look, we just me and Isabel want to go off for a chat. We'll be back in a bit. I think that would have been better than just ignoring everyone and taking yourself off. So, yeah, that bit wasn't great. And I think, again, it's funny how people see things, because I think the twins are getting a bit tribal, aren't they? They're more tribal than anyone else. And it was pretty funny what they were saying, to be honest. But I could see why you'd think, well, that's just a bit distasteful as well. It's out of order. They're going too far. I don't necessarily think that. But, again, I was saying about Jessie and making excuses for her being 19. Cartier's 19 as well. And yet she's the one who basically said, look, you two have come in, you are coupled up, and you've just completely ignored them, not said anything to him at all. So again, already had a lot of respect for Cartier, but again, she just stepped up the ladder again for me there. I thought that was big of her.
No, I think you're right, Dave. I think very, very good girls you brought up with the right way. And just getting back to something you said about the twins, I didn't get what was going on tonight. So obviously we had the incident with Cassie, and she did something later on. I hope we're going to get into, Dave, about Cassie. I was fucking cringing behind the cushion. Yep. Oh my God.
And cringe is the word I was thinking as well.
It's fucking terrible. But Luke was saying, like, don't speak to my woman and that. And I'm thinking, well, the day before, you'd fucking split up. Why are you being so protective and jealous? Because these two new guys have come in and asked for Cassie to go on a date. And she deserves all the criticism she's getting, as far as I'm concerned. But the lads, for me, look really bad, the twins, both of them. I mean, we know she said this 6 o'clock thing. That is absolute nonsense. That was just purely for reaction. But the way he was being really possessive towards her when they're not even together, I'm thinking maybe it's just as well they aren't together, because he was showing signs to me. I was thinking, wow, mate, you're wrong here. He was totally saying like, oh, she should be kissing me. And I'm thinking, but she's already told you she doesn't want you. And then Josh was doing the same with Anna, wasn't he? I mean, Josh was actually probably worse than Luke. And I'm like, you're not getting it here, guys. You've come in already and stolen these two girls when you come in yourselves. It's the nature of the show. It's like, you can't now start fucking going the moral high ground and start like having a go at these two lads coming in, because it's not their fault whether they started on the first day of Love Island Australia or they start on the fucking last day. It's their job, just like we had in the UK where Amber and Greg come in, literally come on as a substitute in the 92nd minute and won the whole thing. You know what I mean? It was an absolute farce. But that's the nature.
By text.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah. But you're right, and that's the nature of the game. So I don't think they've got much of an argument. I just thought tonight was the first time when I've actually thought they were two nice lads. I thought, you know what, you've been a pair of dicks with this, completely jealous and overreacting, to be honest.
We kind of, I guess, and especially when people are put out there for criticism, and like social media is not a very forgiving place, is it? We almost want everyone to be a bit beige, make 100% the right decisions. I completely agree, and I do think they went too far. Did not understand on any level why Luke was saying, "Get your hands off my woman," kind of thing.
Yeah.
He was doing it out of earshot of everyone, but, he was in the group, wasn't he? And so it just didn't make sense. They both agreed they were going to call it a day, whether they're coupled up in the show or not. So maybe he was getting a bit tribal about that, but so I think that I can't keep using that word, but I can't think of a better description. It was tribal, and they were just kind of guarding their patch. There's a big difference, though. I mean, Josh and Anna are properly together, and I had respect for when Anna went in on the date and, she was friendly and everything, but she just made it clear, she's with Josh and that's that. So, you compare that to the way the other girls were on the dates, it was very different. So, yeah, I think they probably have overstepped the mark. I don't think that means they're total arseholes. I just think, in that heated environment, and there was a lot of testosterone bouncing around the villa, wasn't there? I just think they probably did overstep the mark a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I'm not going to totally change my opinion on them because I thought they've come across quite well. It just was a little bit too much, to be fair. I agree. But Dave, let's lighten the mood. So let's set the scene. A couple of evenings ago, me and you, we speak to each other on Messenger. You send something through to me, Dave. And it is quite literally the best and worst, most cringeworthy thing I've probably seen in a long time. So we had a video on one of the contestants, Dave. Would you like to elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, we've speculated a few times, haven't we? Why is Cassie even on the show? Because she doesn't seem like she should be there. Well, it's very clear. She's there to grab some fame. And this has come out over the last few days. It's some old footage of her auditioning with a friend of hers for X Factor. And it is one of those, it must have been on in the first few weeks. There's no way she made it through to the later rounds. And it is one of the most cringeworthy things I think I've ever seen. It's her and a mate. They're doing some kind of singing. I think they're attempting to harmonize. But it's one of those, where you just think, have you actually got ears? And do you use them? Because that sounds fucking horrible. You've got Gary Barlow there. He doesn't know where to look because it's fucking horrendous. He's just so bad, So I think it's very clear. She's here for the fame. That's it.
You've been quite good there, Dave, because when she started rapping, I was like, what the fuck is this? She started freestyling. And I've got to say, guys, if you can seek it out, if you can't, myself and Dave have got the link, DM us on Twitter or email and we'll send it you because it's an absolute classic. It is literally fingers through your eyes thing. You can't. You want to turn away and feel embarrassed for him, but you sat there like Gary Barlow. Obviously, he's around 2013. Gary Barlow, he's fucking turning away like, what is this shit?
I mean, it is proper buttock-clenchingly embarrassing. I mean, the level of cringe, I guess the best way I could describe it is, imagine if, you were at a wedding or something and your mum got up and did a bit of rapping, that'd be like it. It was that bad. And I just think, again, utterly horrendous. And, again, it's another little data point to say that she's absolutely delusional as well, as having no talent.
Well, yeah, and then Dave, who thinks we didn't get any more cringeworthy, we see her attempt at flirting with, was it Blake, the new lad? And
was it Blake or was it? It was
Todd. Might
have
been Todd, was it? Was it Todd? And I was like, you don't say when you're chatting up anybody that you put a cockroach in your mouth. And then she was talking about, I went to Ibiza and what I did was I went there with no money and the next minute I'm actually, I'm partying with Bruno Mars or something. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. It was Ed Sheeran. Sorry, Ed Sheeran. But it was so cringe. I was like,
yeah, that
won't impress anybody. That stuff like that does not impress. And you can even see him looking as if to say, I really don't give a fuck, to be honest.
What a wonderful job the editors did, though. Because she's there, and there's just too much to unpack here. But she's like, yeah, I put a dead cockroach in my mouth. Well, and then it cuts to her in the diary room, and she goes, yeah, I was totally flirting with him. Like, what? Is that what that was? Is that really flirting? Because it doesn't. I don't recognize it as that. But I don't know. Have you ever been to Spain and, the Canary Islands or whatever? I remember going, Chris, in the 90s. And, it was one of the tricks, and it was a bit exploitative, to be honest. You'd get the DJs or whatever, and they've got all these party games. You've got the shots flowing and whatever, and sticking a dead cockroach in your mouth was just one of those things. But it was all just it was just exploiting young girls, to be quite honest. And I thought, as soon as you said that, I thought, oh yeah, I've seen that kind of thing. I know exactly what the context was that you were doing that. You probably did it for a free shot. And so, again, I just, that would have me definitely walking away from the conversation.
Yeah.
But also, I'm sure there are people in the world who, you name drop people, famous people, and the person who you're speaking to is impressed. I am absolutely not that person, Chris. I could not give a fuck who you've spoken to because you are still you, and I either like you or I don't like you. If you're fucking partying with Ed Sheeran or whatever, I couldn't give a fuck. I might have a mild interest, but in our first proper conversation, you're trying to name drop someone famous to boost yourself, and I just, it's one of the things, it doesn't just not impress me, it really fucking repulses me. I think it's a very ugly trait for someone.
Yeah, and a couple of things in context, Dave. You're right, and I think great explanation. I'm going to go back to this slightly. You're probably going to be like, "Fuck!" If we were like, there, you'd be rolling your eyes at this, Dave. But I've done a bit of TV work, and the worst thing you can say to anybody because most people on TV do shows, and the actors and actresses are arseholes, Dave. They're so self-absorbed. So when you say someone, and bear in mind this guy was a footballer, he's obviously been around parties and social functions where he's probably met a lot of these people. He's probably thinking, I don't give a fuck. Now, I know Ed Sheeran's a really nice bloke. We know that. A lot of musicians are, because a lot of them don't believe in the hype. Some do, some don't, but they're still grounded people. It wouldn't impress me either, and I do agree. And in the respect of the cockroach thing, and again, I'm turning it onto the Chris show here, Dave, so apologies. In 2010, I did a Bush Tucker trial in Manchester on a radio show to win a trip to Australia. Me and Sam went in 2010. Now, I had eyeballs. I had eyeballs in my mouth, which I had to eat two of. I had live locusts, and I had witchetty grubs, mealworms. The video used to be on YouTube. It's not there now because the radio channels switched, and it was only on there till a few months ago. But I have got the video somewhere. But the first thing I would say, if I was single and I'm chatting a girl up, I would not say to her, by the way, I bet an eyeball. She'd probably be like, well, that's me, God. I just think she was getting verbal diarrhea, and I can sprout verbal diarrhea and bullshit with the best of them, but I'm sort of like thinking it's not going to impress any person whatsoever, because I'm sure this guy has rubbed shoulders with people. He's been in a locker room situation with his pals. I'm probably overthinking this, Dave, and he's probably done even worse, but I was just like, oh, you just, please, just stop. Let him get to know you. If he likes you, let him like you. You don't have to impress him with a load of nonsense that he's not even bothered about. Or that is the world she lives in, Dave. So this 6 o'clock thing she was saying to Luke, maybe she's just fucking delusional, and this is what it's all about.
Yeah, she values herself by, the environment that she's in. She doesn't actually value herself.
Yeah.
She just wants to sit in that reflected glory from other people. Again, I think it's a pretty ugly trait myself. But yeah, I guess if you're going to put balls in your mouth, you want to make sure they're eyeballs, don't you?
I can't admit anything without my lawyer, Dave. I'm sorry. If it's for the competition, I'll do fucking anything, Dave. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, and I am almost thirsting, because it's got to the point now with Cassie, and we build up these pictures, we kind of look at their behaviors and whatever, and you build up an eventual picture of this person. And I just, honestly, I can't wait to see the back of Cassie on this show, to be honest. She offers nothing other than, just winding me up.
Yeah.
She's there just for the fame, but she's got no fucking talent or personality. So, fuck knows what she's a good looking girl, isn't she? But,
yeah.
She's not going to be young forever. I mean, how old is she now? Is she like 27 or something?
I think so, 27, 28.
Again,
yeah.
you can kind of forgive the X Factor stuff. It was when she was about 20. You can say, well, the Ibiza stuff, it was all when she was younger. There's nothing more kind of, there's nothing more sad, really, is there? That someone who's just going on beyond their days and kind of trying to act like they're 18 still.
Yeah, true. And make it even worse, Dave. She's a Spurs fan, so she's had a rough time. I know I've had a rough time being a Man United fan, but she's not had it good.
Not that rough in the grand scheme of things. I mean, if you're a Yeovil fan or something like that, I think you probably had it rougher, haven't you, over the last 30 years?
To be fair, yeah, true. To be fair, I did see she's got a THFC tattoo, and I saw it a few episodes ago, and I thought, that's Tottenham Hotspur FC. But I didn't twig, because obviously she's English, isn't she? You know, her family have moved there and stuff. But I didn't twig that that's what it's in reference to. When she said it, when they were doing the speed dating with the new guys, I was like, oh, right, that makes sense. So, yeah, she has got, I don't know where she's got it on her body, but I did see it in one of the shots a few weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, well, it's another thing she's not got going for her, isn't it? So she's obviously fucking across to Australia just for the party, though, isn't she? But again, let's get off Cassie, because I could quite happily just pick holes in her personality all day. But with the whole competition, the pole dancing, I thought, again, usually when they have games, they kind of integrate the game, to the questions and stuff. Whereas this was just like, we'll just pole dance and we'll ask you some questions. There didn't seem to be any connection other than to get them to do some pole dancing. And I think Isabel did say, didn't she? Cassie's obviously, she's done a bit of pole dancing before. But you know what? One question that I thought it jarred with me, and I just thought it was horrible, was the question about Cynthia. And does the Australian public think Cynthia's boring? And I thought, no, come on, that's fucking out of order, that. I thought that was too much, because when you're saying about Matt crying and stuff like that, it's a bit funny, and he can have a bit of a laugh at himself. He must know himself. He's a bit of a wet lettuce. But I just thought that it irritated me, to be honest, that question. I thought that was uncalled for.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it with Cynthia is she's just not been editing a lot, has she, Dave? They know where the stories are with people. If there's some controversy there, that's what you get on the screen. And I've said it to you before, when somebody's going to get voted off Love Island, because all of a sudden their story's been centered to the whole thing, say, for 4 or 5 days, and then they just fall off a cliff and they're just sat in the background laughing and joking. And I always say to Sam, these are going to be voted out here. And she says, why? I said, because you're not seeing them on the screen. They don't add any value to the story of Love Island to get the viewers watching. So once their journey's finished, that's it. And she's like, I didn't. I said, it's just a common thing, unfortunately, Dave.
Yeah. But I mean, she seems like one of the most normal in there, doesn't she? So, again, that's probably why she's not got as much screen time. She hasn't had any bloody drama, and of course, she did couple up with that Belen Maurice, so didn't do herself any favors there. But no, I just thought a lot of the questions, they do kind of intentionally plant a seed that they'll be thinking about later on. And I thought the other one, so where I think they walk that line as opposed to going across it, was Gerard and Jessie, the whole showmance thing. And again, although I think Jessie's probably, again, we talked about that at the top of the show, didn't we? She's a bit young. She's had her head turned very quickly and didn't stop to think, well, okay, maybe I should just have a quick word with Gerard first and just let him know the score. I thought Gerard, he's been a bit of a dick as well over a couple of things. He's acting like they've been together for 6 months or something. And in that question about, do you think Jessie and Gerard are a showmance, I think she put it down at like 30% or something. Well, he only had to put it at like 40%. And then you've got the whole rest of the board. You just have to be closer, don't you?
Yeah.
But no, he put it, was it 70 or 80% or something? 80%. So if they had any chance of reconciling, it was gone in that moment. Yeah. Because he was just acting like, he'd been jilted and he was just angry about it. So that's why he put it so high. And I just thought, you fucked up there.
Yeah, I agree. Very poor judgment. And also, he looked like he was crying, which I thought was a bit pathetic, to be honest, Dave, considering they've probably only been together like 2 or 3 days. I totally agree with you. As much as I think Jessie handled it wrong, I don't think he's got much thingy as well, to be fair. I think it's wrong the way she handled it, because also he planted the kiss on her when she was with Owen, and he did take liberties. They're supposed to be coupled up. I know they could snog now, but he did go a bit far, and that's where
he was going for it for ages, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so his turn came at that point. So you sort of reap what you sow, don't you? Like you say, Dave. They're all a bunch of bastards, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in there for about a month, though, haven't they? He's probably fancied her since day one, and they've had probably like friend-type conversations. So I imagine his feelings have been gradually stepping up, whereas hers, she'd been with Maurice, because Gerard's been with plenty of girls as well, hasn't he? But I've never seen him be as invested as he was with Jessie, and he took a massive chance, didn't he, with the bomb squad? Yeah. He basically made his mind up. No, Jessie is the one for me, so I'm going to put myself out there. I could end up with the show in its format. I could end up single and booted off the island, but I'm going to gamble because if I don't go for it with Jessie, I'll always regret it. So I think his feelings have built up. It's not just that they've been together for a couple of days. I think in his mind, his feelings have been growing since day one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, to be fair, Dave. So, guys, if you want to get in contact with the show, on Twitter at Love Island Cast. If you want to email the show, the loveislandcast@gmail.com. And if you do like the show, please get onto your podcast catching app and drop us a review. Just helps us get out there to more people. So, Dave, it's been quite a longer episode today. There is no Love Island now till Sunday over in Australia. For some reason, they seem to have dropped off the Friday episode. So we'll be back Sunday and Monday with episodes. And, I think all I can say to you is, my friend, let's have a good weekend.
Yeah, and we'll find out who's walked out the villa. Gerard.
Yep. We'll see you then.
Bye now.